All right, it looks like we are live. Hello, welcome everybody to A Fictional Escapist. In some parts of the country, this wonderful book, some parts of the world, definitely in my country, this wonderful book is ready to go. We are here to talk about Together is a Distant Star. It is the first of two official launch parties. I'm greedy, I actually have two copies, so they are both here. They are both beautiful. I think at the moment I may be the only one with physical copies, but they are coming out and they're ready to order, especially in Australia. You can go ahead and get them now. But I'm here with some of the authors for this project today, and we are really keen to get underway and have a chat about this project. Hello, Andrew. Hello, Ven. Thank you for joining us today. We've got authors from all over the globe with us this morning. Before we get too much into the book, though, how about we do a quick around the grounds for my co-host Tom and also the authors today to let us know a little bit about yourself and your current works, starting with Tom.
Yeah, hey everybody, my name's Tom Mock. I'm a fantasy author and editor. I published my first urban fantasy novel, which to date is my only published novel, in 2019, and then I entered the 2021 or 22 Spiffbo self-published fantasy authors blog off. I think that was Spiffbo 8. I was a semi-finalist in that with the Before We Go blog group. And since then, I've been getting to know the fantasy, sci-fi, and horror indie community more and more. I volunteered as sort of an editor and helper with Together is a Distant Star, the anthology based on the theme of belonging. And so far, it's been a great experience for me.
Thanks, Tom. What about you, AJ?
I'm AJ Calvin. I write mostly epic fantasy and a little bit of sci-fi. I have two series that are published. They're complete. The Relics War and the Kayan Legacy. Those are both fantasy. And then a couple standalones. One of them is Wraith and the Revolution, which came out last year, and that's my science fiction novel. And that one actually, the story in Together as a Distant Star is related to a scene in Wraith and the Revolution.
Cool. Over to you, Nancy.
Okay, hello. Well, good afternoon for everyone in my area of the world. I'm Nancy Foster. I mainly write dark fantasy in English, but I've also written a few things in Spanish, most of it unpublished. My previous published series, Anomina's book and Fragmented Fates, they're both in the same world. Fragmented Fates is actually a prequel duology that happens over 800 years before the other series. So the story in this anthology has nothing to do with any of my prior work, just to let anyone know.
Thank you, Nancy. And Valentina.
Hi everyone, my name is Valentina Carvajal. I am from Chile. My English is a little bit broken because I don't usually talk in English. I published two books. One of them is El Intruso. There it is. La Ciudad de los Huéspedes is the second one. And actually I'm working on a manga with an illustrator. And there's the Spanish version. I don't know how to say it. Their
A ver,
name
dilo en español y se lo traduzco.
Are you sure? No, I can say it. This manga is Before Blooming in English, so you can find it in Webtoon and Tapas. And that's it. I'm really happy to be there, to be here.
We're happy to have you here. It's been awesome for myself and Tom in the back end of this, getting to sort of know the authors of this anthology. So Tom touched on it just before, but Together is a Distant Star is a anthology all about the theme of belonging, and the project has been really blessed to have 12 authors from across I think it's 6 continents get involved in writing their stories and getting this theme at the forefront. So how did everyone come to be involved in the project, and what got you excited to get involved? it's a free for all. Everyone can just.
Well, if I remember correctly, originally a user named Lion's Pen, who's I think a friend of everyone's, had posted about how what was the subject specifically? Because her tweet
The lack of representation and
Yeah.
of women, female authors in all of these projects, so that we're always being left to the side. I think that was kind of the initial discussion.
Yeah, and from there, really pretty organically, it just came out of everyone saying who wants to be involved in an anthology for women and queer authors, however you identify, and anyone who wanted to sign up to potentially be a part of it could. And we had a really long list of people who were initially just interested in taking part. We had authors who were ace, who were trans, who identified as non-binary, as well as lots of women and people from all over the world. There weren't any borders put on this, which is one of the things that's been so interesting, especially from a language perspective. As Valentina was saying, her native language is not English. And so Nancy helped her with translation. We have lots of other authors who grew up speaking multiple languages, including or excluding English as one of their first native languages. And so from the beginning, it was just an inclusive community event, really, a lot like some of the blog offs and competitions we have, just to try and get people together who usually are left out of projects, of anthology projects, because their names weren't big enough or they hadn't published before, just as a way for us to help each other and write fiction and try and organize it around a theme and then put it out for the same community and beyond. And we ended up with 12 authors who wrote stories and then who wanted to take their draft, which we shared with each other, to a kind of final form of the story that they had the time to do it and who they felt strong enough about their work. And then 12 was the number that fit into the anthology, so that worked out great. And we've been finalizing that for all of this year and for much of last year, after the authors, ran away to write all their stories and then turn them into the Google Drive.
Oh, it took ages. Everyone was very busy we started on like 2 years ago. People are thinking, oh, we did it in 2 months. No, it was like everyone, we said,
Been a long project.
I'd like to continue, but life is getting in the way. Is it okay if I send an update in 2 weeks? And everything is like, okay. So it took a very long time.
And it's definitely been on the fast track on 2026, hasn't it? I think Delilah, who's in the second launch party this evening, came in and lit a fire under everyone, and we all rallied up. We were able to get it done this year, but yeah, sometimes life just happens though. But I'm glad that we have this product. It's looking and it reads really well. So everyone who's listening should go and buy it immediately. It's a shameless plug. So what got you all excited to get into the project?
I liked the whole premise. He mentioned E.L. Lyons' post, and I didn't know about that until after the fact. I actually got into it because I've been following Natalie Kelda, who is also an author in this project, for quite a long time, and she posted something about, hey, do anybody who's interested, would you like to contribute a story? And I was like, this is something I can get behind, because they were right. There are so many of those indie anthologies that come out, and so many of those authors are men, and you don't see too many women included, or queer or non-binary. So I really was excited to join for that reason. Like, we need to have some more representation in the publishing industry in general.
Want me to respond? I don't know. Well, for example, for me, people know that I've been reading and reviewing books since like 2016. If you look at my Goodreads, I have at least like 800 reviews. It's a lot and counting. And you would be surprised to know that half of the authors of this anthology, I've read their books before, and I really love them. I've read one of the books by Kira, read by Branwen, one of her books, the Song Trees book. Valentina, I've read. I mean, all of her other books, I've read them all. Just to let you know. Who else I've read? Delilah's book. I've read her book. So AJ, we met in Worldcon. Like we said hi 5 minutes, and then I had to leave. She autographed my copy of Serpentis, and I loved the book. I read it at work, and people like staring at me at work saying, "What is that weird book you're reading?" Oh, it's a very good book. It's really good. It's really good, but I have to keep on reading. Sorry. And I love that one. So it's really a huge honor to not just, participating in an anthology, but with people that I've read their prior work, and I can vet they're great books. I really enjoyed them a lot. A lot of variety. I read a lot of variety. I don't just read one genre or language. I have people are wondering what kind of books I read. I have some pretty bad taste. I mean, if I enjoy it, I don't care what people think. Reading is supposed to be fun. And so it's one of the fun things of this anthology. I had a lot of fun participating in it, and the stories are really good reads.
Did you say 800 reviews, Nancy?
What?
I think you are running circles around me with the amount of reviews you've got on Goodreads.
All my reviews can be very long. like I have books reviews like 4,000 word reviews, tearing books to pieces, or just mentioning every plot hole. I somehow find plot holes everywhere.
but the long reviews are the best for our authors. So it's so nice that you did like that, Nancy.
And what about you, Valentina? What got you excited to be part of this?
Well, I got an invitation from Nancy's. I have to say yes because the project is so like IJ says. The project was so nice to me, like being with a lot of women and queer authors. It's such it's the best place for me for being. So it's such an honor for me to be invited and participate in this project. Yeah.
How did we all find the collaborative experience? So we sort of mentioned a bit earlier that it has been a long process for us because life just got in the way for a few years, and then this year it's really sort of come together with like group behind the scenes people don't see, like all the group meetings and trying to coordinate all the time zones and get people all into one room. How have you found the experience of sort of coming together as a group?
I've loved this project so much. It's been such a great group of people to work with, and I can't thank Delilah enough for organizing so much with all her meeting notes and everything. It's just been so wonderful.
Yeah, a special thank you is definitely in order for Delilah, because sometimes getting authors together can be like herding cats.
Yeah.
And she definitely has a very organized, ordered approach to getting everyone together. But it's not like she was the project leader necessarily. No one was really the leader of this, which was very refreshing. Everything was done on a process of everyone having input and then us all deciding what we want to do. And there really wasn't even anything where it came down to like some kind of majority split vote. I feel like even though that was how we understood things would work, everyone was always very comfortable with whatever decision the most amount of people seemed comfortable with, which was very nice.
Yeah, there's a lot of work for Delilah.
I mean, right now it's like 4 a.m. in the morning in Australia. I mean, half of our meetings had to accommodate the people in the Americas and Europe and the poor people in Oceania. They had to wake up in the middle of the night. I mean, I'm very sorry, but you had
Sometimes
to
we're the
sacrifice.
outliers, though.
I mean, I was in most of the meetings. I was very lucky to be in a very good time zone, mountain time.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I was in almost every meeting, but one of the meetings I was in a bus and I forgot about the meeting. I was going to the cinema. And so I was like, oh boy, right now we're in no more cell phone signal for 40 minutes. We're in the mountains. Sorry. And then it would just come back really spotty. And like, I don't know what everyone else would see, trees coming by and noise. And nobody could, and I was trying to answer and I forgot my microphone was turned off. And people wouldn't say, I don't know what you're saying, Nancy. Oops.
There is definitely a magic in collaborative experiences across time zones.
And the time zone thing was definitely a surprise, because when we were organizing this, once we ended up with, a final sort of maybe 12 or 14 group of authors, we didn't realize that everybody was in different time zones, such different time zones, until we actually had to start organizing meetings, as opposed to just talking in the Discord or on social media and, swapping notes. Once everyone was like, okay, what time do we meet? It became a very different conversation.
I had like the Excel spreadsheets up on the walls trying to figure out where everybody was and what time aligned the best.
Did you say where you are, Chris? Because right now it's like 5 a.m. for you, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm in Perth, Western Australia, so it's about 5:30 in the morning.
Oh wow.
We love you so much. Please forgive us.
I mean, I think Ko and I might be the outliers, because she's in South Africa and she'll be in the second one this afternoon, and those time zones don't really meet up at all. Hello, welcome in.
This cara boquita. This is my illustrator.
Ah, cool.
Yeah.
It's cool to have people pop up. We've had a few as well. We had Andrew say congrats on the book. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you, Annette, as well.
Thank you.
So it's been really interesting being in the back end of the book, because I feel like I didn't do very much at all. I've just sort of been here.
No, but you so much with the social media stuff. I appreciate that a lot.
Me too.
Great.
Yeah, you give a lot of promoting. Yeah.
So I was just in the background playing with Canva for a few months, which was a lot of fun. But like Tom was saying, just thinking about that experience, and it was collaboration in every sense of the word. It wasn't that one's person or one's voice reigned over everybody. Like even just with the creation of the promos, like that was a discussion with everyone, and everyone had input, and it was such a respectful project, I think, in that sense, that everyone, like, no one got antsy about anything that was said. It was, how do I take on this person's feedback and create a product that everybody is happy with, or a majority is happy with. And it's the first time that I've been a part of anything like this. What about the rest of you? Have you done collaborations before? Is this something relatively new?
I don't want to. I was in high school, junior high. The video is lost. Sorry, nobody. I have no idea what happened to the video. It's lost media. But me and my best friend, we went to the anthropology museum in Mexico City. We had to do like a video of the Mayas, the Aztecs. I mean, really, the museum is amazing. If you're ever in Mexico City, you have to go there. We were supposed to be 4 students. The other 2 students didn't show up because, I don't want to go with Nancy and her best friend because those are the weirdos of the classroom and they're just losers. So we're just they can do whatever, and we didn't have anything signed up. So I was like scratching my head, saying I don't remember what this is, but I know it's from the Aztecs and whatever. And the video was this horrible video, and the teacher just gave me a D. Like, all right, well, you bothered to show up and do the video, so you get props for that. But it was a horrible video. So that's my experience with collaborative work.
I remember being in university and just say, just give me the quiet kids, I'll do it. They can put their name on it.
Well, for me, it's the first time ever. For me, it's the first time ever in a collaboration project about writing literature. It's such exciting for me because it's not only the thing that I wrote some story and just put in the book. No, it was like translating that story. So that was such a work for Nancy, for Delilah, for everyone who.
It's the bilingual curse. I mean, my Spanish, I think in two languages all the time. So, I mean, words that native English readers don't know. What is this word? And they're just so normal to me because they're false conlags between Spanish and English, words we use all the time. And remember, Chilean Spanish is not the same as Mexican Spanish. They use different words. I'm used to it. I read a lot of Chilean. I've been to Chile twice, so I'm used to how they speak. So it's not difficult. I'm one of the few Mexicans that easily understands Chilean Spanish. Most people just don't understand it at all. It's like, what is this language? We don't know. So, I mean, it added extra hurdles so, I mean, I was the middleman. I did the translation, and then editing was saying, Valentina, people mentioned this issue. I don't know. It's your work. I mean, whatever you choose, I'll just mention. I'll do all the minimum changes. Whatever you're happy with, I'm happy with. So I mean, it was an extra challenge, but it was very fun. It was very fun to do this work.
Yeah, but it was really challenging because I have to read a lot of times the translation and compare with my original work. So the two have the same sense of the words of everything.
Of the idea.
Oh, the idea, exactly. So it's not that easy because Spanish is very different than English. Is like you say, Nancy, and we have a lot of Spanish versions. So the Chilean Spanish is very difficult for the people.
It's hard for me. I understand it, but most people don't understand it at all. They think we don't know what you're saying.
I have a Mexican friend who told me, like, you talk like Chinese. I don't know what you're saying. And he's Mexican. He talks Spanish as me. So it's like, no, why you say that? But Nancy, you had been in Chile. You visit Chile.
Twice. The first one is in 2015. The next one was in 2016. I always traveled. The first trip was in November, so it was spring for you. I went to Santiago, Valparaiso, where instead of sitting Picasso paintings, I saw the military museum. I was there all day. My dad scolded me. Why wouldn't you go to see Picasso paintings? You have no culture. I don't care. I went to see the museum. I went to Panama. I went to San Pedro de Atacama, where I got lost a bunch of times. I crossed the border to Bolivia. I went back to Calama, and then I went back to Santiago. And then on my second trip, I was in Isla de Pascua, Easter Island. I saw the Moais. It's amazing.
Oh, that's a great trip. Great trip. Yeah. Well, I come from the Valparaiso. That's my region.
Yeah.
Valparaiso. So you knew my.
I saw Valparaiso, and they say it's very dangerous. Be careful, and this is not more dangerous where I live in Mexico City. It's okay. During the day, it's fine.
It's dangerous. Yeah, I can tell that.
Yeah, I heard, but it's. I mean, I'm pretty. I was pretty comfortable even in the sketchy areas of Santiago. Maybe because I mean, Mexico City. I've been all over the place, so I kind of know. I mean, I was fine. I never had any problems. People scolded me. Why didn't you eat choripan in Valparaiso? And then I had a terremoto. I now know why they call it the earthquake. I had a horrible hangover the next day. So if you ever go to Chile, if they say this will give you a hangover, be careful. It will give you a hangover.
I've only got one story like that, and it was from New
Please
Orleans.
go back to the.
Well, we had a comment come through saying the campaign was a good idea because it kept waiting to see who was going to pop up next, and I had the same experience with reading the novel because I was fortunate enough to sort of get a physical copy to read it early and sort of look for formatting stuff, and I was always really excited. It was very hard to put down once you'd finished someone's story. Like, okay, who's next? What can I get into? And Tom, I think you also read it quite early to look at the ordering, right?
Yeah, I had read several of the stories to provide feedback on. Not all of the stories that I read, though, ended up being in the anthology. I hope those authors do revise their work and release them later, maybe even in another volume of this kind of anthology if we do together. And so because I had read so many of the stories, the group asked me to read through the few I hadn't read yet and suggest maybe an order based on what stories would pair well together, or, you know, any of the motifs or the themes other than the theme of belonging. And I worked on it quite a bit to try to figure out what would go with what. And in the end, it was really an issue of, well, these stories go together really well. These stories are a little different. These stories go together a little well, so I guess I'll put them like this. And then we just had to decide which story we wanted to go first and which we wanted to go last. And we ended up picking A.J. Calvin's story, Tiv Gadan, to go first. Not only because it was the shortest of the stories, and so the entirety of it can fit inside the sample. Anyone out there, if you want to go read A.J. Calvin's entire story, Tiv Gadan, now you can, without having to buy the anthology. But we ended up picking hers also because it encompassed a lot of the themes that were going to show up in the rest of the stories, though many of the themes would show up in a different light. Her story is a lighter story. We called it a meet cute in an intergalactic restaurant.
Yeah.
But in the setting, there's undertones of corporate greed and climate disaster and alienation and loneliness. And her story is a nice way to start the anthology because it begins the anthology with a great deal of hope. Sort of like the image behind me of two hands reaching towards each other across a proverbial table and clasping. And the rest of the anthology is very much like that, with characters trying to find where they belong, trying to keep people who they care about with them and together, or trying to get away from where they don't belong. And so we go on a little journey through those different kinds of experiences through the entirety of the anthology until we end with Delilah Wan's story, Razira's Glory, which also does a very good job, I think. It's, I think, the longest story in the anthology, and it also does a very good job of having a lot of qualities in it that have appeared throughout the anthology. So I think it actually ended up being a really nice place to end, and then hopefully send the reader out looking for all of the rest of the work by all of the authors in the anthology. Because like you said, Chris, one of the things that I was really so impressed by, not only are the stories really good, I was really impressed how well every one of the stories ended. Endings can be really hard in fiction. I think, as any reader will tell you, not every author is good at really sticking the landing. And I found every time I finished one of the stories in the anthology, I instantly wanted to keep reading. Unfortunately, because they're short stories, there isn't more from that author in the work in particular. but I could turn the page and start the next journey with the next author and their story. And once again, it would end in a really satisfying or complicated or maybe open-ended way, but it would end really well. And I hope readers have that same experience that I did.
Something that I like about the way this is set up, and I'm going to show off the physical book again. Sorry to people who don't have it yet. But is at the beginning of every story, we got like an author's note for the next tale that we're about to go into. And that was such, and about the author. And that was such a cool way to introduce me to the next story. So it was a real sort of like reset once I'd finished a story. And then I got to go, okay, I'm getting into this person's mindset now, and I'm reading this. So it was like a really nice little palate cleanse in between each book. But we've been here for half an hour. Let's talk about some of the stories that we've got. We've got some of the authors here. You all have a work in this book. So how about we go around the grounds, and AJ will start us off and tell us a little bit about your story, followed by Nancy and then Valentina.
Yeah, so my story was Tivkadan, and as Tom said, it's a meet cute in a intergalactic bar. It follows two characters that were side characters in my novel Wraith and the Revolution, which is much darker and more like dystopian and cyberpunk than my short story in this anthology is. My short story is, I say it's a cozier feel to it, and it's not something that I have written much of, but I really enjoyed that. So I will probably be writing more cozy in the future.
I really loved Wraith and the Revolution, so when I got a little bit of that particular scene, I was like glued.
Yeah. So I
was so ready.
decided to
So whenever
write-
the next cozy comes out, I am very, very much ready for it.
I'm so excited. Yeah, I wrote those two characters into the short story because my brother, his like favorite two characters in Wraith were Daros and Pablo, who are the main characters in my short story. And he told me, "Hey, I'd really like to see more from them." I was like, "Okay, let's see what I can do."
It was such a lovely story. We'll jump to Valentina.
Okay. I'm gonna do my best to explain myself with my story. I brought the Iron Queen. That's the name of my story. It's a dark tragedy. Really, really dark tragedy. Like I want to do a prequel with this story from a larger world that I want to write in a book, in a future book. That story actually doesn't exist, but I'm working on that. This story is I don't know how to say it's like a sci-fi with mechas. Mechas are like these giant robots who appear in animes like Gundam, Code Geass, Scaflon right now, right? I'm a fan of the anime, so I want to do something like that, like a dystopian world with this kind of technology. No? I don't know if I'm explaining myself very well with this.
Oh yeah, no, that all makes sense, Valentina. Yeah, when I was reading it, it felt very much like I was reading a dark 90s sci-fi anime.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, and it takes place on a world that's been treated very roughly, and everyone who's poor still lives on the surface of the planet. And then there's this like kingdom in the sky where all the wealthy people live, and it's a kind of Eden.
Yeah.
And they live well because everyone on the planet lives badly.
Yeah. Yeah.
and someone who got me with a twist in their story, Nancy. Tell us a little bit about yours.
Okay, well, I'm sorry that I took the video off for a few moments. My bedroom is a mess. I'm sorry. I'm not in the house very often, and well, I'm sorry, but just to let you know before I go, here is my saving the finish. And AJ, I still have it. You see, I promise you, I'll take a pose with your book somewhere in Mexico City. Okay, so I'll find it somewhere in Mexico City. I'll find a nice place. There are places with serpents in it. Okay, now let's go back. Life of Golem. Probably people wouldn't know, but several years ago, I submitted a different piece, probably less refined as this one. It's never been published. It's called Pandekeri. It's horror. It's body horror with a twist at the end. So it's kind of, if someone read this one and Life of Golem, they would say both stories are kind of similar, but Life of Golem is a bit more refined, probably better written. So people are probably wondering, how is it possible I wrote a book and a story in 2 hours at my job in the office, and all of a sudden, wow, it has a good punch. And I wrote everything, boom, 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 without stopping a second. So it's probably because I already had a prior experience writing something a little bit similar with a twist, but the stories are very different. So in this story, it has nothing to do with my prior work. I like to think about, oppressive systems. I mean, remember, I grew up in a developing country. There's a lot of problems in this country. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure some problems are seen everywhere. There's injustice. I mean, imagine a prison system that's very unfair to innocent people. So, I mean, probably those things kind of influenced my writing in that way. So this is like a place where it's a mountain. We don't know what it's called. It doesn't matter. We only know that the point of view is from a magical piece of earth that has some kind of sentence. It's called a golem. Every golem looks the same. They're huge. Humans are afraid of them. They don't, but the golems are like, we don't care about you. We only have to sweep the floor. So, I mean, people that hate housekeeping, housework, they're going to hate my story because there's a lot of broom sweeping in my story. I mean, the tediousness probably kind of works in the story's favor because little by little, the golem starts receiving platitudes from the prison keepers, and it starts to understand appreciation, and it starts to feel like, I want this too. I want something. I want power over something that's weaker than me. So, I mean, everyone that's read the story feels very different. I mean, no two people have gained the same opinion of the story after reading it. So, I mean, I hope you enjoy it.
It's interesting hearing you speak about it because, it shed more light on my reading experience of the story as well. But it's like Tom was saying earlier, I think my TBR grew exponentially whilst I was reading the 12 stories from the authors here. How did you find incorporating the theme of belonging? Because there's such an array of light and dark themes throughout the entire story. So AJ, yours is quite light. It's definitely cozy. It opens us up on this warm sort of feeling, and then we sort of come down to Nancy and Valentina, who your stories are darker in tone, but it still has that underlying theme of hope and belonging.
Can I just pitch in for a second and say
to each of your stories?
Can I just pitch in for a second to say that I took great care to put Valentina's story in the middle so that it would be the low point of the anthology in terms of tragedy, out of which we could slowly crawl. I read it. It's a terrific story.
Darker.
Valentina's story is one of my favorite in the anthology. It stuck with me. I've continued to think about. I think probably because I grew up watching so much anime like it, so it really spoke to me. But I knew I couldn't put it at the beginning of the anthology just because it would start on such a tragic note. I was worried enough readers might go, I don't want to read any more stories like this. Is this what it's going to be like? There's too much going on in the world. This is gonna make me cry.
No,
Oh
thank you
my
so
God.
much, Tom. Thank you so much, Tom, because it was a great decision. I thought that everyone's gonna be darker stories. Well, it's a lot of stories in anthology. There are darker and lighter. So when you say that, I was like, oh my gosh, what I was doing. But it's a great decision that the story was in the middle of the anthology. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a moment, I want to say it was last summer, because there was a lot of discussion in the Discord about all of the darkness in so many of the stories, and I was like, I wrote a cozy. Like, does it even fit? I was kind of like worried about that, and then it ended up it was fine.
No, but the feeling of wanting to belong is the same in each stories, even if they are lighter or darker. So I think it fits Ajay. So don't worry.
It fits really well. Love
Yeah.
and love's absence was definitely a very persistent theme across all of the stories, I would say. Sometimes love that is betrayed or love that is sought and not found. And that's, I think, one of the things about AJ's story that makes it work so well is it does have a cozy feeling by the end of it. But it felt reading it like a very adult story. It's a very sensitive story in terms of its presentation of its protagonist as well as the other main character, Pablo. And there's a lot that goes unsaid about the characters and their experience of things. AJ wrote it with a very light touch. I remember in the meetings I described it as a perfect story because I felt like it didn't miss a note along the way, and it never did too much. It was very concisely told. And in spite of the hopefulness that the story ends with, because it doesn't have a definite ending, like she said, it fits into one of her novels. In spite of the hopefulness that it ends with, it does start with feelings of yearning and alienation and a sense that the main character, Daros, just really isn't seen for who he really is by everyone, even though everyone looks at him because he's this super wealthy CEO.
Yeah, and I had a lot of fun writing from his perspective because he is yeah, as you said, he's a very wealthy CEO. He's the heir to the Batanari dynasty. So he's always in the public spotlight no matter what he does. So people see him as this sort of untouchable person. They don't see him as a person. They see him as like this thing that I'm not really sure what word I'm looking for.
He's kind of like an icon.
People celebrity.
Yeah, a celebrity. So they don't really see him as a person, and then he ends up going to this single bar, not really intending to meet somebody, but the only person in the room who doesn't like stare and kind of make a big deal that he's there is Pablo, and Pablo is studying for university, kind of in the corner. So he decides, okay, I'm going to approach Pablo, and Pablo comes from like the completely opposite background. He comes from a world that's pretty much destroyed. He grew up with pretty much nothing. He made it to university on scholarship. So, he's struggled a lot, whereas Daros has pretty much been given everything, but they both feel very alone. And I liked bringing them together for this anthology because it fits so well with the theme.
Yeah, now that you mention it, that reminds me that the protagonist across all the stories really split the strata in terms of wealthy, powerful people, high society people, people who are in government or military jobs, people who are peace negotiators, with people who have had very little in their lives, or who have had everything taken from them and are just doing what they can to survive. And so it was very interesting. I don't know how much of this is a factor of the diverse group of authors we had in the anthology, but it was very, very interesting to see that no two stories are quite alike in terms of the participants in the story, even though, in spite of the fact that we had such a broad brief of belonging, so many of the authors end up touching on some very similar themes, sub-themes beneath that. I know Valentina's, her protagonist has basically nothing. They've had their family taken from them. And Nancy probably in the most extreme, because her protagonist
Has nothing.
Yeah.
A broom. They have a broom.
They don't even have really sentience. And reading her story is about finding out what even this thing is and what it's doing in this prison mountain that's in.
Someone says together is a distant economy.
Yeah, poverty is definitely a theme in some of the stories, I would say.
Yeah.
There are many characters who are pressed to dire straits to try to figure out how to make life possible for themselves, including eating parts of relatives. Thank you to Natalie Kelder.
I knew Natalie had cannibalism as a theme in a lot of her works. I didn't realize it'd be on like the first page.
Yeah, I was wondering about that
story.
Nancy started talking about how her story had cannibalism in it, and several of the authors who knew her seemed to be like, "Oh, Nancy, there you go again." I didn't realize she had this reputation.
Who, me?
Sorry,
Natalie.
Natalie. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Natalie
River
Kelder.
in the Galaxy. I read her book. There are definitely cannibals in that book, and they're scary.
Oh, I love. I mean, Natalie. If you want me to pause my video, I could share you fan art I made of one of Natalie's characters that is a cannibal, and I love drawing and showing fan art of that character. If you want, I can go and fetch it right now. If anyone wants to see it. I mean, I really like that character so much. I would actually sew cross stitch of that fan art of that character. I love that character. You want it?
Share it under this video when it gets posted.
I don't have YouTube. Sorry.
We'll
post it. Put it in the Discord. Yeah, we can post it.
All right. Yeah. Well, I'll share it sometime.
No, this is perfect. This is like a marketing thing. Everyone, stay tuned. Look in the comments.
I sew fan art of the most brutal characters of other authors' stories.
So we sort of spoke about like the dark and the light of belonging. How does the theme resonate with you as authors, as people? Just to get deep, just a deep question to throw it out there.
Yeah. Well, for me, it resonates a lot. I'm sorry. It's okay. I'm sorry. Okay. Thank you. For me, it resonates a lot because, well, I come from South America, so I'm so far away from everyone, and everywhere. Also, I live as a lesbian woman, so in my country, that's a really channeling. Is difficult in this country live as a queer woman. So I think every day I don't want to be so dramatic, but I think every day is like where I belong, or what kind of people will accept me like I am, no, or will accept my partner. There will be Ay, Nancy, help me.
¿Cómo necesitas? ¿Cómo quieres que lo parezca?
Es desafiante en Chile ser
It's a huge
lesbiana.
challenge. It's a huge challenge every day.
Sí, en Chile particularmente, porque hay mucha homofobia. There's a homophobia,
Yeah.
people in well, I think there's everywhere, but
They all
especially in
snide
South America.
content.
Yeah, especially in South America, there is I don't know, gay marriage. The gay marriage was legal just a few years ago, you know.
Divorce.
Matrimonio
Chile is the last Latin American country with divorce.
No, el matrimonio homosexual es legal hace un par de años solamente.
Yeah, I've heard that too. I mean, all of these, Mexico tends to be a little bit ahead in some of these things. But everywhere, I think lesbian women in Latin America, the snide comments are heading your way. I mean, people at your job, they're like, "Oh, it's her," and "Ooh," and "Oh." I mean, people are they'll may be friendly with you, but they'll be bad talking you at your back.
Yeah,
all the time.
It's
annoying.
Absolutely, exactly that. So all of my friends say to me that no, living in another country, go away to another country because it's better, because people are more like open-minded, you know. But it's not easy because all of my friends, my partner, my family is there. So it's really challenging for a queer woman, queer people to live in Chile. So yeah. So the belonging is a huge it's a huge need for us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm.
It's thank you for sharing. It's such a deep theme, and like Tom was saying earlier, it's such a broad theme, and it hits people differently. And even just working together on a project like this is something that brings people together, and we do get that sense of belonging. And you can see, you know, that every story sort of tackles it just that little bit differently, despite the similarities that are across them. Exactly what Tom was saying before. We've got a fan, AJ.
Miriam, hola.
Hi, Miriam.
We've had it.
Hi, Roberto. Hola, Roberto.
And what about AJ and Nancy? How does the theme of belonging sort of situate with you as a person?
For me,
go ahead.
You go, AJ.
For me, like when I approached this project, I mentioned this in my little interview with Tom a few weeks ago, but I have always kind of been like the outsider. We moved around a lot when I was growing up, and so I went to 4 different elementary schools and 3 different middle schools, and so like I was always meeting new people, and I ended up kind of just becoming the quiet one that hid in the corner because it was just hard to constantly be put into those new environments. So I really felt like I wasn't seen for a long time, and I in that interview we had, I mentioned my husband, and when I met him, it was such a different experience because he actually listened to me. Like and I didn't get that much for most of my life beforehand. So for me, it was like making that connection with somebody and then finding out that like you can do something together and, you know, come together even though like I'm not very good at meeting people sometimes. I mean, you've probably noticed even on this live stream, I don't talk a lot unless prompted. So yeah, it's just like finding somebody who understands me that well and is patient enough to wait until like I can I can get out what I'm trying to say. This is why I'm a writer. I'm much better expressing myself writing than I am speaking. So, but yeah, that's kind of where I came from, is just, you know, trying to make that connection with somebody, and then, you know, it sticks.
It makes sense that your story is very cute.
There's one. The other ones are brutal.
The other ones are brutal. AJ's story is so like sweet. Awesome. What about you, Nancy?
Well, people probably know I was born in the United States, so I have 2 citizenships. I did not speak Spanish when I was a child. I was a complete monolingual English speaker. And so for various reasons, I moved to Mexico City, where is my second citizenship, where most of my family lives. And I did not speak Spanish. Like, the only words I knew in Spanish when I showed up was opuesto and ¿qué otra palabra era? Banana. Like, I don't know.
That's an easy one. That's not fair because it's an easy one.
Yeah, I was like, all right, well, I mean, the funny thing is that my parents signed me up for a private school for 4th grade, and I was just dumped there. You have to sink or you're going to swim. You better learn how to swim or you're going to die. I mean, luckily I had... Well, I mean, it was not that extreme. The school I started off was a very nice, super mega very Catholic school, and very nice students. Some students really felt very sorry for me, and they spoke English, so they kind of tried to help me. You know, I will teach you. This is the class is about this, and I had an English teacher. She was also very nice, Norma. So for various reasons, I was in that school for 2 years, but it closed down because they were going to build a new one in Santa Fe, and traveling in the highways of Mexico City for 90 minutes to go from one side of the city to the other is not bad enough. Imagine 3 hours one way, 3 hours the other way. Yeah, Mexico City is a city where you have to get used to being in traffic 4 hours a day, one way, 4 hours a day, the other way, just to let you know. So I ended up going to another school. I was already starting to get fluent in the language, but it was not easy because I had a really nasty teacher when I was in 6th grade, where she was demanding me to read books in the library for 6th and 5th graders, and I only wanted to rent books for 1st grade students. I mean, I just barely learned this language 5 months ago. I'm not gonna read an 800-page book. I'm sorry, I'm gonna get so bored. And it was a very negative experience in that sense. I only stayed in that school 1 year, and so when I went to junior high, that's where I met my best friend. I mean, we're just 2 weirdos. Somehow we both love Sailor Moon and Caballeros del Zodiaco, and we are friends to this very day. I think if there's one thing that's stable in my life, it'll be we are going to be best friends. Me and, well, he likes to be named as Yichak Siqueiros, and I love you. You're my best friend. You probably won't see the video, but we're gonna be going to the movie sometime this week, like usual. I mean, for me, we might not see each other for a year or 2, but once we see each other again, it's like nothing has changed at all. So, I mean, it's a lot of things in my life. I mean, I've been kind of strange. I've had a lot of things going on, but I think sensing and belonging, it's very important to having a lifelong friend that's always there for you, doesn't care how weird you are, let's just be weird together. So I think that's very important. I think I feel a lot of the same in the writing community. Like, somehow writing fantasy books kind of lures the same kind of people together. It doesn't matter what country, what language. I mean, all the weirdos, let's read books. I mean, and somehow outsiders think we have such great imagination. Where did it come from? I don't know either.
It's
I'll
funny you
I'll
say
never
that, Nancy, because just sitting here listening to the three of you
complain
talk about
again
how
about
you
Perth
relate
traffic
to
again.
belonging,
Sorry.
um, uh, I think anyone who watches this video, who listens to this audio, who listens to the three of you, will gain some insight into where parts of your stories in this anthology came from. And it's been interesting just for me to listen to you talk about your experiences, your life experiences, in light of the kinds of stories that you wrote and the sort of characters who you wrote about.
I was going to turn that question onto you, Tom. How did you feel reading
Oh,
the story? How does the theme of belonging resonate with you?
well, I published my first novel in 2019 after querying it for a long time and rewriting it, and not getting anywhere with the traditional publishing marketplace. And I finally published it, and that felt great. But I never really knew how to do more as a self-published author. Like, I didn't know where the community was. I didn't know how to enter into the space with everybody because uh, like maybe a lot of people here, I grew up as sort of an antisocial kid. I usually made friends with weirdos by accident. But like Nancy, I'm really close friends with just a few people who I met in junior high. We play D&D together basically every weekend. And eventually, I tried doing what I was seeing other people doing on social media, which was just posting about my book. Because of that, an author named Douglas Lumsden, who's in the community, who wrote Troll Walks Into a Bar, as well as other urban fantasy series, read it. He's in his 70s now. He got started late as a teacher, but he was very complimentary and sort of shared it around. And that was kind of my entry into the writing community. And I have to say, I've always loved writing, but as I've gotten to know other writers and participated just in their successes, hearing about that they finished a draft. AJ told me she recently finished a draft I saw online. I just finished another draft of a manuscript this weekend. That just traveling along through this creative pursuit with so many other interesting creative people has been so rewarding. And so when I saw an opportunity to just do something more than just post back and forth online with the group of authors who are trying to put together the anthology, I jumped at the chance, even though I didn't fit the brief of being either a woman or a queer author or marginalized identifying author. I just wanted to help in any way that I could. And I was really delighted just how embraced I felt by everybody in the group. I mean, it was not an exclusive community. It was a very open door community of authors just wanting to help each other and put something out for everybody to read. And I think, I mean, I having read the finished product and seen the published book as it's coming out, I think everybody did a really good job together, and it's been a heck of a good time.
I think it's been such a wonderful experience, and everyone has their own sort of connection, right, to the theme of belonging. We all have different stories. As you were all sharing yours, like I related a little bit to AJ, I could relate to Valentina, just with themes that you've had in your lives that sort of come into this story. I've also experienced, and I hope that the people who are listening and the people who pick up this book will also get to relate and feel like they belong on some level, wherever they're at in their life at their moment. There is something in here for everyone. So that was our introduction for The Distant Star. Wait, I've got both of them here. So I want to thank Tom as co-host and also the authors today for joining me for this launch party one. There is a second launch party for other time zones this evening. So we'll have, I think, Ko in South Africa and also Delilah from Australia. She's in Sydney. And Tom will hopefully be joining us again. We may see a few others pop in as they go around. But before we sign off for today, I just want to do an around the grounds for everyone here. Where can people find you? So we'll start off with Tom. Where can people who are listening and the people who are in the chat find you and your works?
I have a website that I need to update because since I've seen everybody else's website, I'm deeply jealous of the work everyone else has put in. Very professional. You can find me at tommock.com. Through that, you can also hire me for any kind of editorial services. I do dev editing and proofreading primarily. But I'm on social media on Twitter, Blue Sky, and Instagram as Tom Mock, and I'm bumping around in the community more or less daily. But so I'm around at Tom Mock.
Thanks, Tom. Over to you, AJ.
You can find me on Twitter, Blue Sky, or Instagram. It's at AJ Calvin on Twitter and Blue Sky, and then author AJ Calvin on Instagram. And then I also have a website, ajcalvin.net, and I have information about all of my books on there and weekly blog posts and that kind of fun stuff.
AJ also puts out a really cool list every month of self-published books that are coming out.
Yes.
So you should check that out as well.
neat.
I troll it every month, and again, my TBR is a crushing weight because of this list. Over to you, Nat.
Is
Sorry.
that on your website? Is that on your website?
Yeah, it's part of my blog. So on the first of the month, I release a list of books coming out that month, and fantasy, sci-fi, or horror.
Oh, great.
It's a funny story where I have my Twitter account doesn't say Doctora Foster. It's someone else. I was already taken. So I kind of used, instead of Foster with an S, it has an X. It was kind of like a nickname someone at my job opened. I never opened my Twitter account for anything serious. I just wanted to yell at a bank account for some problem. So I left my Twitter account abandoned for years until I started writing. It's a funny story. So, but if you find me, I don't have really that much of an imagination. So it's the same user on Blue Sky and in Instagram. I don't really post much on either. I kind of mostly stick around on Twitter because it doesn't use cell phone data. So that's probably why I cannot leave that site no matter how many people complain about it. And I don't really have that much imagination, but if you could just see here, if you could just see right here, that's my also author website that I really need to update.
I can see anything.
Nancy Foster, author, card. Oh. So if you just put Fragmented Fates on Dr. Google, you'll eventually find my page with my Fragmented Fates website that I haven't updated in years. I probably should update it.
I am on social media like Instagram, X, Twitter. I call it Twitter. TikTok, and I'm sorry. I'm also working on a website, but I think that the release will be this week. I don't know when, but I think it's gonna be this week. But yeah, social media. My name is B. Carvajal Leiva, because it's my full name, but with a little abbreviation because Valentina Carvajal Leiva is too long. But there is, if you want to bribe me for something, I'm open to any message. No, I don't know how to say mensajes. Message. I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, my English sounds very slurred.
I will have the links to everyone down below. So I do have Nancy's and Tom's websites So the links to all of our authors will be in the description box down below. If you're curious as to any of them or their works, you can go ahead and find that. But again, once again, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm ready for a coffee. It's now gone 6
Please,
15
Chris,
in the
go
morning
for
over
your
here. I
coffee.
think other people are ready for. I appreciate everyone's time. Thank you to the people who joined us in the chat as well. It's really nice to see some back and forth with the people who are chatting and shouting out. Congratulations to our authors. And just before I sign off, congratulations. It's out. Or it's out in Australia. And in the next 12 hours, it'll be out everywhere else.
Yeah.
Congratulations, everyone. Thank you so much.
And with that, we'll say goodbye for today. And I'll see Tom. I'll see you for round 2.
I'll see you next time, Chris. Bye, AJ. Bye, Nancy. Bye, Valentina.
See everyone.
Bye,
Ciao.
everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you so
Thank
much, Chris
you.
and Tom. Thank